Shalom, I'm Ezra Solomon. You're choosing comfort over strength every single day, and it's destroying your potential. The ancient Jews built unshakable character through three discipline rules that modern culture has completely abandoned. Today, I'm giving you the exact framework they used to forge inner strength. Let me be direct with you. We live in the softest generation in human history. And I'm not talking about physical comfort. I'm talking about character weakness, mental weakness, the complete inability to do anything difficult without immediate emotional payoff. Look around. Everyone's seeking the path of least resistance, comfort, ease. Follow your feelings. Don't be too hard on yourself. Practice self-compassion. And what has this created? A generation of people who collapse at the first sign of real resistance. Here's what's actually happening. Every time you choose the comfortable path, you're not just avoiding temporary discomfort, you're actively weakening your character. You're training yourself to be soft, to quit, to make excuses. And the truly dangerous part? You don't even realize it's happening because culture is telling you that seeking comfort is somehow healthy. The ancient Jewish communities understood something we've completely forgotten. They had a tradition called musar, ethical discipline, not self-help, not motivation, discipline, character refinement through intentional practice and resistance. They knew that strength isn't built through comfort, it's forged through controlled difficulty. In Pirkei Avot it teaches, according to the effort is the reward, not according to your feelings, not according to what's easy, according to the effort, the resistance, the difficulty, the discipline you're willing to embrace. But modern self-help has inverted this completely. Now it's all about hacks, shortcuts, feeling good, and avoiding anything that creates discomfort. And you know what that creates? Weakness, mental fragility, people who can't sustain any difficult practice because they've never built the character muscles to do so. I've worked with people who've tried every comfortable approach to self-improvement, affirmations, vision boards, manifesting, and they wonder why nothing changes. It's because they're trying to build strength without resistance. It's like trying to build muscle without lifting weight. It doesn't work. The Jewish wisdom traditions understood that character is built exactly like physical strength, through progressive resistance, through daily practice, through doing difficult things even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it. So here's what I'm going to give you today. 3 ancient Jewish discipline rules that have built strong character for over 3,000 years, not because they make you feel good, because they make you strong. And if you're serious about transformation, if you're actually ready to stop being soft and start building real inner strength, you need to pay attention to what comes next. The first rule is gevura. In Hebrew, this means strength, discipline, restraint. And here's what you need to understand about this concept. It completely reverses everything modern culture teaches you about strength. Modern culture tells you that strength is doing whatever you want. Freedom is having no limits. Power is unlimited choice. But the ancient Jewish wisdom says the exact opposite. Real strength isn't doing whatever you want. It's controlling what you want. In the Torah, Gevurah appears repeatedly as the quality that distinguishes the disciplined from the weak. It's the ability to restrain impulse, to say no to immediate gratification, to choose the harder right over the easier wrong. This is the foundation of all character development. Let me destroy the comfortable lie you've been sold. You think following your feelings makes you authentic, free, true to yourself. But here's the truth. Following every impulse makes you a slave. You become controlled by whatever emotion is strongest in the moment. That's not freedom. That's bondage to your lowest impulses. The research in psychology backs this up completely. Studies on delayed gratification, impulse control, and self-regulation consistently show the same pattern. People who can restrain immediate impulses have better life outcomes, across every metric: relationships, career, health, mental well-being, everything. But it goes deeper than that. Every time you practice restraint, you're strengthening your Yetzer Hatov, your good inclination. Every time you give in to impulse, you're feeding your Yetzer Hara, your destructive inclination, and whichever one you feed becomes stronger. Here's the daily practice of Gevurah. Every single day, you identify one immediate gratification and consciously restrain it, not forever, just in that moment. It could be food, entertainment, comfort, complaining, whatever pulls at you strongest. The key is this: you're not restraining it because the thing itself is bad. You're restraining it to build strength, to prove to yourself that you control your impulses, they don't control you. And here's what you need to expect: resistance, discomfort. Your mind will create elaborate justifications for why you should give in. Just this once. I deserve it. It's not that big a deal. That resistance? That's exactly the point. That's where character is built. Gevurah isn't about deprivation. It's about mastery. It's about building the internal strength to choose your path instead of being dragged by impulse. And without this foundation, nothing else I teach you will work. Because if you can't control yourself, you can't build yourself. Let me tell you about Daniel. 32 years old, successful career, objectively good life. But he came to me because he felt weak, not physically, mentally. He said, "Ezra, I can't stick to anything. I start strong, then quit the moment it gets uncomfortable." Here's what Daniel's life looked like. He'd commit to waking up early, then hit snooze because he needed rest. He'd plan to work on his business project, then choose Netflix because he deserved to relax. He'd decide to eat clean, then order takeout because one meal won't matter. Every single day was a series of comfort choices. And here's what Daniel tried before finding these principles: motivation videos, accountability apps, making it fun and enjoyable, all the modern comfort-based approaches. They'd work for 3 days, maybe a week. Then he'd revert to the easy path. The pattern was destroying him. Not his circumstances, his self-respect. He knew he was capable of more, but he kept choosing less. And every time he quit on himself, it became easier to quit the next time. Then Daniel learned about Gevurah. And I'll be honest, his first reaction was resistance. This sounds too rigid, too extreme. There must be a gentler way. That's what everyone says when they first encounter real discipline. They want the results without the difficulty. But something shifted in Daniel. He asked me, what if the problem isn't that I need an easier method? What if the problem is that I've been avoiding difficulty entirely? That question changed everything. Daniel committed to the practice. Every single day he identified one impulse and restrained it. Morning alarm, no snooze, immediate action, craving junk food, conscious no, pull toward easy entertainment, choose the harder, productive path. Week 1 was brutal. He told me, every cell in my body is screaming for comfort. Week 4, something changed. I'm still uncomfortable, but I feel stronger. Month 3, Ezra, I don't recognize the person I was 3 months ago. 6 months later, Daniel sent me this message. The practice didn't make life easier, but it made me stronger. I used to be controlled by comfort. Now I control my choices. Same job, same circumstances, completely different person. That's what Gevurah does. It doesn't change your external world. It transforms your internal character. It builds the strength to choose your path instead of being dragged by impulse. And that strength, that changes everything. The second rule addresses something the Talmud teaches explicitly. Every person contains 2 inclinations, the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, and the Yetzer Hatov, the good inclination. And every single day, These two forces are at war inside you. Now, before you dismiss this as religious mysticism, understand what this actually means psychologically. This isn't about cosmic good versus evil. This is about the daily battle between your disciplined self and your impulsive self, between building character and seeking comfort, between long-term strength and short-term gratification. The Talmud is explicit about this. Who is strong? One who conquers his inclination, not one who conquers enemies, not one who dominates others, one who conquers his own destructive impulses. That's where real strength lives. Here's what the ancient rabbis understood that modern psychology is only now confirming. You have competing neural pathways, competing habit patterns, competing identities within yourself, and whichever one you feed through action becomes stronger. Whichever one you starve becomes weaker. Every time you choose the disciplined path, you're strengthening your Yetzer Hatov. Every time you choose comfort over growth, you're feeding your Yetzer Hara. It's that simple and that serious. Let me give you the practical application. Throughout your day, you'll feel pulls in opposite directions. One voice says, do the hard thing, build yourself, choose discipline. Another voice says, not today. You're tired, it's too hard, choose comfort. Most people don't even recognize this battle. They just follow whichever voice is louder in the moment. And usually that's the Yetzer Hara, because the impulsive voice is always louder, always more urgent, always more emotionally compelling. But here's the discipline practice: pause. When you feel that pull toward comfort, toward quitting, toward the easy path, pause. Recognize that this is the Yetzer Hara speaking. Name it. This is my impulsive self trying to control me. Then consciously choose the other path. Now I know what you're thinking, but Ezra, what about balance? What about not being too hard on myself? What about self-compassion? Here's what you need to hear. Balance doesn't mean 50-50. Balance doesn't mean giving equal time to your disciplined self and your impulsive self. Balance means strengthening your Yetzer Hatov until discipline becomes natural, until the right choice is the easy choice. Real self-compassion isn't letting yourself off the hook. Real self-compassion is building yourself into someone you can respect. The third rule is Cheshbon HaNefesh. This translates to accounting of the soul or examination of the soul. And this is the practice that separates people who grow from people who stay stuck. In the Jewish Musar tradition, practitioners end every single day with honest self-examination. Not gratitude journaling, not affirmations, brutal, honest review of character and choices. Where did I build strength today? Where did I choose weakness? What patterns keep appearing? What excuses did I make? Modern culture avoids this completely. You know why? Because real self-examination reveals uncomfortable truths. It shows you where you're lying to yourself, where you're making excuses, where you're choosing comfort over growth. And most people would rather stay comfortable than face those truths. But here's what research on metacognition and self-awareness shows us. People who regularly examine their behavior with honesty change their behavior. People who avoid self-examination repeat the same patterns forever. It's that simple. Let me give you the exact framework for Cheshbon HaNefesh. Every evening before sleep, you spend 10 minutes on this four-part process. First, daily review. What did I do today that built character? Where did I practice Gevura? Where did I choose my Yetzer Hatov over my Yetzer Hara? Be specific. Don't just say, I was disciplined. Identify the exact moments and choices. Second, honest assessment. Where did I choose comfort over growth today? Where did I quit? Where did I make excuses? Where did I know the right path but take the easy one? This part requires brutal honesty, no justifications, no yes but statements, just facts. Third, pattern recognition. Look back over the past week. What excuses keep appearing? What weaknesses show up repeatedly? What situations consistently trigger your Yetzer Hara? The patterns reveal what you need to work on most. Fourth, tomorrow's commitment. Based on what you've learned, what's one specific discipline you'll practice tomorrow? Not a vague intention, a concrete action. Tomorrow, when I feel the pull toward specific comfort, I will choose specific discipline instead. This practice feels harder than gratitude journaling because it is harder. Comfortable self reflection makes you feel good. Cheshbon Hanefesh makes you grow. The discomfort you feel during honest self examination, that's your character being refined. That's weakness being exposed so strength can be built. And without this daily practice, you'll repeat the same comfortable patterns forever. Let me show you how these principles appear in Torah. There's a story in Genesis that reveals everything about building strength through resistance. Jacob wrestling with the angel. Here's the surface story. Jacob is alone at night. A mysterious figure, described as an angel or the divine, appears and wrestles with Jacob until dawn. They struggle all night. Jacob's hip is injured, but he refuses to let go until he receives a blessing. And because of his persistence through pain, his name is changed from Jacob to Israel, which means one who wrestles with God. Most people read this as a supernatural event, but in the Musar tradition, there's a deeper interpretation. Jacob wasn't just wrestling with an external being, he was wrestling with himself, his fears, his weaknesses, his character flaws, his Yetzer Hara. The entire night represents the prolonged struggle of character development. It's not quick, it's not comfortable, it's a sustained battle that injures you, exhausts you, pushes you beyond what you think you can endure. And here's the critical moment in the story. Jacob is injured, he's exhausted. Dawn is breaking. The easy choice would be to let go, to quit, to say, I tried my best. But Jacob doesn't quit. Even injured, even exhausted, he demands the blessing. He refuses to stop wrestling until transformation happens. That's the principle. Strength comes through wrestling with resistance, not avoiding it. Character is forged through sustained struggle, not comfortable progress. The blessing, the transformation, only comes to those who refuse to quit when it gets hard. And notice what happens. Jacob's name changes. His identity transforms. He becomes Israel, one who struggles. That's not a curse, that's an honor. The Jewish people take their name from this moment. Why? Because the struggle itself is what makes you strong. Now bring this into your life. What are you currently running from? What difficulty are you avoiding? What character weakness are you refusing to wrestle with because it's uncomfortable? That thing you're avoiding, that's your wrestling match. That's where your transformation lives, not in the comfortable practices, not in the easy paths, in the sustained struggle with the thing you most want to avoid. Jacob could have avoided the fight. He could have run. He could have chosen comfort. But then he never would have become Israel. He never would have received the blessing. He never would have transformed. Your strength is waiting on the other side of the struggle you're avoiding. Now let me tell you about Marcus, because not everyone who hears these principles actually applies them. And understanding why people fail is just as important as understanding why people succeed. Marcus came to me with the same struggles: weak discipline, comfort-seeking patterns, inability to stick with difficult practices. I taught him these same 3 rules: Gevura, the battle between inclinations, Cheshbon Hanefesh. His response: this makes sense, Ezra, but I need to find a way to make it easier first. Maybe there's a gentler version. Maybe I can start with something more comfortable and work up to this. That was 2 years ago. Marcus is still looking for the easier version, still trying motivation-based approaches, still waiting to feel ready before starting the real work, still stuck in the exact same patterns. Because here's what Marcus, and maybe you don't understand. There is no easier version that works. The difficulty is the mechanism. Removing the difficulty removes the results. It's like asking, can I build muscle without the resistance of weight? Can I just visualize lifting and get the same results? No. The resistance is what builds the muscle. Character works the same way. And I know what you're thinking right now. I know the objection forming in your mind. Ezra, this sounds too extreme, too rigid, too hard for a normal person with a regular life. Maybe this works for you, but I have responsibilities, stress, real-world constraints. Let me address that directly. Yes, this is hard. I'm not going to lie to you and say it's easy. It's not. That's not a bug in the system. That's the entire point. But here's the question you need to ask yourself. Do you want to be strong, or do you want to stay comfortable? Because you can't have both. Comfort and growth exist in opposite directions. And here's the nuance that people miss. This isn't about perfection. You'll fail. You'll have days where you choose comfort, where you skip the practice, where you give in to impulse. That's part of the process. The difference between people who transform and people who stay stuck isn't that transformed people never fail. It's that they don't quit when they fail. They do their cheshbon hanefesh, acknowledge the failure honestly, and return to practice the next day. 3,000 years of Jewish wisdom proves this works, not because it's easy, because it builds what's real. Let me bring this together. You now have 3 ancient Jewish discipline rules that build unshakable character. Rule 1, Gevura, strength through restraint. Real power isn't doing whatever you want, it's controlling what you want. Daily practice. Identify one impulse and consciously restrain it. Build the muscle of self-mastery. Rule 2, Yetzer Hara versus Yetzer Hatov. The internal war between your impulsive self and your disciplined self. Whichever one you feed through action becomes stronger. Daily practice. Pause when you feel the pull toward comfort. Recognize which inclination is speaking. Consciously choose the disciplined path. Rule 3, Cheshbon Hanefesh. Daily honest accounting of your soul. 10 minutes every evening examining where you built character, where you chose weakness, what patterns keep appearing, and what specific discipline you'll practice tomorrow. These 3 rules work together. Gevura builds your strength. The battle of inclinations gives you framework for daily choices. Cheshbon Hanefesh ensures you're learning and improving instead of repeating patterns. Here are your 3 immediate actions starting tomorrow morning. Action 1, morning restraint practice. Before you even leave your bedroom, identify one comfort or impulse you'd normally indulge and consciously say no to it. Snooze button, phone scrolling, whatever pulls at you, restrain it. Action 2, midday pause. Set a reminder for midday. When it goes off, pause whatever you're doing. Ask yourself, in the past few hours, have I been feeding my Yetzer Hatov or my Yetzer Hara? Then consciously choose one disciplined action for the afternoon. Action 3, evening, Cheshbon Hanefesh. 10 minutes before sleep. Review your day with brutal honesty. Write down what you learned. Commit to tomorrow's specific discipline. Now, I want to hear from you in the comments. What's your biggest mental weakness right now? What discipline are you avoiding? Which of these 3 rules challenges you most? Share it below. And here's my challenge to you. Practice all 3 rules for 30 consecutive days. Many of you will fail. You'll restart. You'll struggle. That's part of building strength. Track your progress. Keep a written record. If this challenged you to raise your standards, subscribe. Next week, I'm revealing the ancient Jewish practice for building unshakable confidence through bitachon, inner security that no external circumstance can shake. Remember this, discipline isn't punishment, it's freedom. Character built through resistance lasts forever. Modern culture will tell you to stay comfortable, choose ancient strength instead, shalom, and start building tomorrow.